What up, though? And welcome to the Corrected Felon Podcast with Inspire the Block. Me, Inspire the Block, your host, your big homie, your cousin, unk, or the opinionated asshole, as my wife and other people like to refer to me as. But what up, though? Make sure y'all subscribe, like, comment, and share the Corrected Felon Podcast. And I thank y'all for tapping in with me day in and day out. Because over here at the Corrected Felon Podcast, I like to put out content that actually is directed to our community or America as a whole. And any issue that we're discussing within the Black community is good for America as a whole. So let's get right to it, right? I heard something the other day on the Breakfast Club, and it's no secret that I am an avid supporter, listener, and fan of the Breakfast Club. I support DJ Envy, Just Hilarious, and Charlamagne the God, and I also like the content that they produce on the Breakfast Club. It's very inspirational. You can learn something from it, and it's entertaining. But also, you can get nuggets of information from over there and have real conversations. And so, what we want to do, I want to play a segment. It's the Just with the Mess, and it's a segment featuring Cardi B, a recording that Cardi B did over social media, and we're gonna have a further discussion about it. So let's get into this real quick. Let's hear this segment from the Breakfast Club.
Friday that includes a change to automatically register men aged from 18 to 26 into the military draft. Failure to register is classified as a felony and comes with other legal problems. The bill was passed by the House in a 217 to 199 vote. So, wow, 217 voted yes and 199 voted no. But it reportedly isn't likely to be passed by Senate because of other amendments included in the bill dealing with abortion and other issues. U.S. citizens have been reacting, but Cardi B reaction was my favorite.
I just read an article saying that the House just passed a bill that they're going to automatically register men from 18 to 26 for war. And all I want to say is to America, good luck with that. These new little are TikTokers, baby. These motherfuckers ain't gonna fight no war. We're gonna die. You're gonna die. You might as well just keep investing money in your guns. Because these new kids, you want to send these new kids to fight these wars? The TikTok hip shakers? Out of your mind. This is a new America, baby. This ain't the 19 motherfuckers. Nah, like seriously, you're gonna draft these kids that be TikToking all day to fight them, what? Most likely what? Them Russians? Them motherfuckers that be fighting bears and and motherfuckers climbing mountains to go to school and whatever?
Not wrong when she right. She's not wrong when she right.
So I said this is my favorite reaction. That is hilarious.
America better off sending robots. You better build some super soldier robots and send them over.
She said they're gonna be
them
dancing.
TikTokers ain't gonna cut it. She ain't wrong.
No, yo, it was the Russian mountains to go to.
Now there's a lot of impact on this. Okay, Cardi B hit some shit, and I believe it's twofold to that conversation in which Cardi B was putting out there based on the clip that the Breakfast Club played. Now, what she's talking about is on the 14th of this month, June, the House of Representatives passed bill to automatically register for the draft, but can it clear the Senate? Now, I'm gonna read some of this article to everybody, and we're gonna continue our discussion after I get some nuggets of information out this article. Okay. It says on Friday, June 14, 2024, the House of Representatives passed a significant defense bill that would include a provision for the automatic registration of young men between the ages of 18 and 26 for the Selective Service. Now, let's get a clear understanding of what the Selective Service is. The Selective Service System is an independent agency of the United States government that maintains the database of registered male U.S. citizens and other U.S. residents potentially subject to military conscription. The Selective Service System was founded by the United States Congress on May 18, 1977. So, in a nutshell, the Selective Service is a database that collects names and information in America of males over 18 or just turning 18, and to have them pretty much volunteer to sign up for the U.S. Armed Services. And what they're doing now is trying to make this an automatic thing. So let's further read a little bit more. The bill, part of the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, authorizes a substantial $895 billion in military spending and aims to streamline the process of registration for military conscription. Proposed by Representative Chrissy Hollaham, Democrat from Pennsylvania. In her speech from the House floor, she stated, and I quote, by using available federal database, the Selective Service Agency will be able to register all of the individuals required and thus help ensure that any future military draft is fair and equitable. This will also allow us to rededicate resources. Basically, that means money towards reading readiness and toward mobilization rather than towards education and advertising campaigns driven to register people. So what they're trying to do is from here on out, if this bill can pass the Senate, which is there's a lot of, I'm pretty sure a lot of objection to it, but if it can pass the Senate, what it does is automatically register 18-year-olds to 26 for selective services for potentially being a part of the United States military. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I'm gonna start off by saying like this, all right? Because we got some more to break down, but I'm gonna first start off by saying like this. I don't support war, nor do I support murder unless it is in protection of a person, their property, their possessions, anything that a person can take from them physically. I think that everybody has the right to defend themselves. And if that results in murder, then it results in murder. But once again, I'm not for murder and I'm not for war. Now, but what I am for, I'm not totally against this bill. I'm for it in part, and I think that there needs to be further explanation on how we can implement this. But this is why I am for it partially. In America right now, we can turn on any news channel, especially locally. We can pick up articles digitally. Now, mostly everybody read over their phone, but nobody reads the newspaper anymore. But if you do, you can pick up local news articles, and you can see within the community, within America, that these young boys is out of control. And it is my thinking that what if we institute this draft to help curb a lot of this violence that's going on in the urban areas or throughout America today with our young people? So this is my proposal. This is my idea. This is my thinking. Because the selective service system is an independent agency of the United States government, and it maintains a database. Let's go back and start looking at these at-risk youth way before they potentially become murderers, robbers, rapers, and end up in prison for the rest of their lives. Because right now in America, we've tried a bunch of other shit to try to curb inner city violence, also to curb violence as a whole in America with our youth, and nothing has worked. For example, let's look at religion. Religion in America right now does not have the power that it used to have. I'm gonna repeat myself because I know that a lot of people are gonna be upset with that, but I don't give two shits. In America, religion does not have the power to change the trajectory, minds and hearts of young people today in the streets. You can't preach Jesus enough to get them to leave the streets. Maybe a few, don't get it twisted. Maybe a few. Some of these kids are going to get it right, depending on what they go through. But some of them is going to get it right, and some of them may turn to religion. But overall, as a whole, in droves, religion is not converting these wild young kids in the streets to God. For example, we could take a look. Let's look at Young Durk. Young Durk is not Young Durk. Excuse me, Little Durk is a prominent Chicago rapper, and he's a big name in the music industry right now. And one thing about Little Durk, just not too long ago, Little Durk took his shahada, and now he's Muslim. And he's even professed this in interviews. He does it over his social media. He also does it in his music about his newfound faith. But when kids are listening to Little Durk, because he's very, very popular in the world of young people, they're not transforming their lives when he talks about religion in his music. They still caught up on the killing and the drilling of the music. No matter how many times he rap about Islam in his music, that is not going to draw these kids to the mosque in droves. Because they don't give two shits about religion. They're looking at reality. They're looking at the community, and they're like, damn, this shit is fucked up. If God is real, then why he isn't changing the conditions of the community? So even with Lil Durk professing this, once again, young people in the streets are not coming to religion or Islam in droves. We already see that there's a church on every corner just about in the black community. About on every corner. I don't care where you turn or where you go, you can find a black church. But even though the church is the steeple or the centerpiece for black people in America, we can see right now that the church is not driving young people to it in droves. In fact, I believe it's the other way around. I think people is leaving the church, young people, is because they don't find nothing attractive about it. They can't connect to it based on the example that they see with older people. So 1 minute you talking about believing God, and then the next minute you out there fucking on a whore as the pastor, and they see this, so they don't find no credibility in that or no weight, and they go to the streets. Once again, I don't care if you come with Judaism, Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, whatever religion you want to bring forth. These young people is not listening to it. Like, religion has failed young people in America right now because they don't give two shits about it. Now, let's look at education. Is education transforming the lives of these young people in the streets? Not at all. Most of them don't even go. By the time they're caught up on their case, they got like a 7th grade education, if that. By the time they end up in prison, most of them are still going to school trying to acquire a GED. I mean, they're not going to school. School doesn't influence them for change. By the time they reach the 4th grade, they've already checked out of school, unless they have somebody in their ear or in their corner pushing education. And also that person who's talking education is a reflection of that. Like, you have to be an example of what you're talking about. If not, these young people just check out. So right now, religion don't do shit for them. We know that education don't. Look how many schools is closing in the urban, in the ghettos of America, right? Or the trenches, as they like to call it. Schools are closing. There's not one school that I went to in Flint, Michigan that is open right now. And I went to quite a few schools because we moved a lot growing up. You know, I had babysitters when my mother used their address because she would work. I had to stay there and go to school and come home. But every school that I went to is closed. School didn't attract me. Even though I went to the 10th grade, but it wasn't enough to push me all the way through. So we know that, once again, religion don't work. School don't work. What about mentors, right? And to some extent, mentors do work, right? They are setting examples for young people, and they're giving young people tools. For example, this is what I do for a living, right? I mentor and I serve as an example to young people, but I'm not turning young people over to a better way of thinking or a better way of life in drove. There's not one motivational speaker out there that is doing that, especially when we're communicating to these young kids, right? They don't even care for the example of older people because they didn't come up with OGs and nothing like that. They don't even listen to us for the most part. Once again, yes, you're going to get some. You're going to get some of these young people to change their minds, but not as many as going to prison being killed on the opposite end. So they're not listening to mentors, anybody that's talking positivity. What they're doing is listening to their rappers or entertainers. And they listening and they taking in the negative contents or context of what they're talking about through the music or over social media, right? And they're applying those attributes and that energy to their life more so than one of a righteous stance or do better stance. Like, they're just listening to them on that. So here we go. We got religion don't work for these young people. Education doesn't work for these young people. Mentors don't really work for these young people. What about the parents? That's one of the biggest problems today. It's not new to find a news article in America where a child has murdered their mother and their father, or one or the other, or a grandparent, or a brother, or a cousin, right? Family doesn't even have the power no more. Growing up, I was afraid of my mother. Growing up, I was afraid of my stepfather. I wouldn't dare think about killing them or hurting them in any kind of way because there was a natural fear. But growing up in society today, there is not a natural fear of parents. And this is why these children be so rebellious, because parents have dropped the ball when it comes to being parents to these children. Most of the time they end up becoming their friends. And now, the mother and the daughter and the argument to where the word bitch is being used between a mother and a daughter. That is a no. That is a way to get your head cut off by talking to your mother, or calling your mother a bitch, or even your mother talking to you in the same manner, using those kind of words. This is the world we live in today. So right now we know that parents, especially to these at-risk youth, these ones is in the streets, these at-risk youth, they're not listening to the parents, right? Like I say, they're killing them. And in some cases, the parent killing the child. So we got religion that don't work. We have educational schools that don't work. Mentors, not as effective as we would like. Parents is not as effective as we would like. What other options do we have left other than prison? Now, this has been one consistent tactic that America has been using when it comes to at-risk youth, right? Is sending them to prison. I was a juvenile that was sent to prison, right? And so, but in America, we don't want mass incarceration. Well, Black people don't, and poor people don't. But overwhelmingly, this is something that we're fighting against: mass incarceration or locking juveniles up for the rest of their lives. But once again, I oppose the question, what do we do? And this is where my thinking comes in at, where I agree with this bill that was passed in the House about registering automatically 18-year-olds to 26-year-olds to United States Armed Forces. Now, let's give it a little bit more context. Now, once again, like I said, I'm not for war. I'm not with people being sent off and being killed because America decides that it wants to snatch or take or steal the natural resources of another country. In order to do that, you got to go to war and you have to send young bodies in there to be killed. I'm not with that, right? I hate war, right? Because of what it does, not only overseas, but what it does here, right? It has an economic impact, and also it has a social impact. Right? People get to talking about it. Like right now over there in Ukraine, I don't support that. Even though America keep giving money to this war, I hate it. And we need to do something about it. That's why I'm not fucking with Joe Biden this year, because all the money that he's been sending to war, we could have been using right here for various programs for the American people. But he decides he wants to send $90 billion to Ukraine for these people to fight and kill each other for whatever reason that has nothing to do with us. Another war I don't support the war in Israel, right? I think that is wrong. I think that the Palestinians have a right to exist in their natural land. But that is another conversation. But I'm just saying all that to say that I don't support war, okay, in no form or fashion, unless it is extremely necessary. Like I believe in murder being extremely necessary, and that is to preserve either America for war or murder to protect yourself and your family. So, but what I am for is having a database created from the time these young people, especially, once again, not just all young people, I'm talking about the ones that we have signs and we have evidence that these young people going to end up in prison, right? You get signs as early as 3rd, 4th grade. By the time they in middle school, now they throwing rocks at the penitentiary. And man, praise be to God if they make it to high school without being killed or sent to prison for the rest of their lives. Like these young people have a lot of anger, a lot of aggression inside of them. And what we need to do is redirect that and let's get them some real ops. Right now, they consider each other enemies. They're willing to kill each other at the drop of a dime. So why not train them up in a way to where it'll put discipline, it'll put structure in their life, but also give them a reason. If you have to kill, then at least you're doing it defending the country. That is what I believe we can do. I believe that we need to start taking these young boys that end up in trouble early on in school and putting them in some type of military training so that by time they are a little bit older, these principles will be within them, and they'll be functioning from that instead of functioning from a mindset that you have to go out here and kill people that look like you. Once again, we are running out of options when it comes to our at-risk youth in this inner city violence. Like right now in America, people think that the only solution is locking them up. But I'm telling you, this is something that we can collaborate on put it together properly, and use it for the benefit of our young people. Like I said, this week we running out of options other than prison, right? If this is a way that we can curb this violence in America, especially with our young people, why not try it? Because we're talking about the persevering of life. We're talking about giving them principles. Also, let's take it, because right now, like they said, they got $895 billion in military spending that aims to streamline the process of registration for military conscription. So if we can use some of this money to also give them a check, you have to make it beneficial, right? Other than just sending them out there, do this basic training, from overseas, not necessarily to fight a war, but America has army bases all over the world. Let them sit there for about 4 to 5 months, give them a detour, and then bring them back home. Let them go have further training. Also with economic opportunities over here. And let's keep doing this thing until they start to get it right. The military isn't bad, especially if you're not going to war. The military provides and supplies principles and individuals. It gives you a sense of pride. Don't get it twisted. I ain't never been to the military, right? Once again, I don't support war. And when I was younger, I remember I was being courted by the army, but I got incarcerated before my 18th birthday, and never did do anything about it. And I would be all for myself if this was going on at the time, right? The idea that I'm presenting right now to America when it comes to our at-risk youth is that when they start getting in trouble, let's send them off to the military before they make a decision that's going to ultimately change their lives forever, either being killed or sent off to prison. And if based on the way that I was living as a youngster, like I was these young people today. Yeah, we was shooting in broad daylight. Most of me and my homeboys went to prison. Like I got shot for gangbanging. Like this is what we were doing. If somebody would have caught me then and sent me off to some kind of basic military training to where structure and discipline was put inside my life, then I think my life would have had a different outcome than the one that it ultimately did. This is what I believe. I don't believe that the military is bad. I hate the way that they do their military vets, but also at the same time, I think that it can provide good. And once again, I'm gonna keep iterating until I'm dead or blue in the face. What other options do we have? Because like I said, these young boys are killing, even young girls, right? They out there killing like it's no tomorrow, like it's a sport, like it's part of their religion. They killing innocence. We don't want our children, we want our children to go outside and be able to play. Instead of somebody spinning the block, shooting a house up, don't catch the person that they're looking for, but end up hitting Big Mama as she was sitting on the porch down the street. Or the little girl that was riding her bike that had just come outside. They caught the stray bullet, right? Or just any innocent person. Or even multiple people, even though nowadays, if they catch you with somebody, you and that other person has to die. Don't give a damn if it's your mama, your grandmama, your daughter. They killing. And so what are we going to do as a society, right? How are we going to change the trajectory of our young people and give them a sense of pride and hope that they can live better lives in America than the one that they're currently living under? Like, what do we do? Because right now, it's horrible in them streets. It's horrible. They will kill you, a girl, just for rejection because she rejected them and didn't want to give her phone number out. They will kill you. They will rob you at the drop of a dime. You can go to an ATM and pull out $40 and turn around. There's somebody with a gun, a teenager with a gun, talking about give you your money to them. And before you can get the money, they can get the money. The robbery can be complete, and they still shoot you just for no reason. Once again, this is the world in which we live in with young people, and I love young people, man. I was once one of them. I'm not one of those, even though I'm about to be 47 years old. I'm not one of the ones that forgot that he was young. This is why I don't support a lot of the punishment legislations that be passed throughout America that ultimately sends our young people to prison. We need intervention programs, right? Once again, intervention and prevention programs here in America. This is something we got to do. So once again, I'm going to end this podcast on this note here. I support the bill that was passed by the House of Representatives to have 16-year-olds to 20-year-olds automatically registered. But once again, I'm talking about just these at-risk youth. I think that the other part of that still should be volunteer, because a lot of people are still going to volunteer for the United States Armed Forces, right? But we got to do something about these kids in the hood that's going crazy and that's ultimately going to end up being killed or sent off to prison. So once again, I support it in part. Get in the comments section. Let me know what y'all think about it. Let me know if you agree with my ideas or not, because I think that we can further this conversation. Maybe I'll do a part 2 on it. But yeah, we can further the conversation and actually make this something that can work here in America for our at-risk youth. So once again, man, y'all, I thank y'all for tapping in continuously with your boy and rocking out. And make sure y'all subscribe, like, comment, and share the Corrected Felon Podcast. Until next time, I pray that everybody's having a blessed day on purpose. The Kia from Flint, Michigan. I'll let your boy.